Alright. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is I, the Immortal Cave, and we trust .blogspot.ca. And welcome to First Reaction for Nightmare in Silver. I didn't really have a prologue because I didn't really have anything planned and I couldn't think of anything. That's really about it. Anyway. This episode was the one that I was looking forward to the most out of all of Series 7. Like, even before the Pawn stuff. Like, any news of a new Cybermen episode, I was all over. Because I'm a massive fan of the old enemies, the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans. Excuse me. Like, enemies like that. The Ice Warriors now, especially. And, you know, a good new Cybermen episode, you know, I'm all over. Because, again, I love those types of guys. And I particularly, while the Daleks have always been my favorite, and the Ice Warriors are up there now, but not, admittedly, now that the shock's worn off, they're a bit down there. But anyway, not as much, I should say. The Cybermen have always been my second favorite. Because just their design is so good. Like, from the old days to the new one, to the newest. I've always loved their designs. My least favorite probably being, I guess, what we could call the Tennant era. Which is when they came back in the Revived series. And, that is one of the things that they changed here. Now I'm going to say spoilers right now, just to get that out of the way. Spoilers, if you don't want to know what happens, I'm going to be discussing it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway. The main thing that a lot of people were just from my experience at least, the main thing that a lot of people did not like about this episode from the very start was the new design. I heard quite a few people were not a fan of this one. Just the idea of having them faster, the idea of just everything that was against what the Cybermen had been known for, or had become known for. And again, I'm not a terribly huge fan of the design of the Cybermen from the Tennant era Just because I always thought they were a bit too bulky. And, you know, the stomping and whatnot, that never did it for me. The new design is a lot sleeker, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more, I don't know, there's just something about the new design that I just always really, I like. It's not perfect, it still looks a little off. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, it seems like it may be a bit too top-heavy, with that weird contraption the Cybermen always have. What did I say? I would say it's probably my favorite design, but again, you know, I think it works the best for what they're trying to accomplish with this version of the Cybermen, which is a much quicker, much more unexpected version. Now, to get into the plot, the Doctor takes Clara, and those two kids to the amusement park, this outer space amusement park, which was once the site of this great cyber war. 1,000 years later, there's only that one shell of a Cyberman remaining, or 3 shells, I think it was. Now, I said something last week in my predictions for next week, or this week, I should say, which was that when it comes to having those extra companions, which are friends of the current companion, it can either turn out really well, like Rory, who became a companion in himself, basically, like Rory, or I would say like Mickey, or it could turn out really badly, like how do I word this? Like that kid who had that brain window thing in season 1. It's kind of hard to explain. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. It was the one that had Simon Pegg in it. It was a good episode. But anyway. This... Those two kids... I was a quarter right. But with that I mean... I said that these kids could either be really good for it, or they can be really bad for it. I was a quarter right on the bad for it. But which I mean... I didn't think it was that bad, and I only thought it was one of the kids, which was that girl. And I don't remember what their names are, forgive me. You know, the little boy, a little passive, and perhaps a bit one note, but not bad. And the acting was fine on both of them. But, you know, they were both very one note. The difference being, the girl was really one note and annoying. And that kind of bugs me. Like, she just... what was the line she said when she walked into the military base? She just basically screams, "I'm bored," walks up, someone asks him where Clara is. She says something along the lines of, "She's stupid." It's characters like that. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, the little boy was okay. And she wasn't terrible, just kind of... I'm trying to think of a way to describe how much I dislike her without coming off as a complete jackass. Again, the acting was fine, and I'm sure the actors are fine. It's just that... But anyway, like I said, it didn't ruin the episode or anything. I think the episode's pacing was pretty good. I thought maybe they pulled out the main villain card a bit too soon. By the main villain card, I mean... Obviously, the Cybermen are the main villain, and I thought they were used exceptionally well. I think this is the best Cyberman episode since Age of Steel, which is the episode that they first premiered in. Kind of excluding Doomsday, because I love Doomsday to death. It's one of my favorite episodes, but it was more of a Cybermen and Dalek episode than just Cybermen. But, though come to think of it, the next Doctor was pretty good. But that, again, I'm rambling now. What they did was, about 20 minutes in, or so, the Doctor teleports into the main hub of the Siberiad, I think is what they called this version. And he gets partially converted, meaning that his personality gets kind of... And I'm never sure if it was they installed a cyberplanner's mind into the Doctor, or if the Doctor's mind kind of splintered into the cyberplanner. Which, well, it's very interesting, I'll say that. If that was the case, because we essentially have the main villain being... the main hero being the Doctor, and the main villain essentially being the Doctor. I believe what happened, like I said, his mind splintered, is my guess, into this secondary evil Cyberman version of the Doctor. And it was very sinister. He was rooting around in the Doctor's mind, and he kept taunting him in rather clever ways, actually. In fact, he actually started like mentioning the catchphrases of the 9th and 10th Fantastic and LOZ. Like, just basically just taunting him about his past generations, taunting him about everything. And I'm actually not gonna lie, at the very end, obviously what ends up happening is the planet blows up. The Doctor and everybody's not on it. They're perfectly fine on a spaceship that's watching it. All the Cybermen got blown up, except for they show like this little... I don't know if it was like a Cyberman's head, or if it was just like 3 Cybermites. Cybermites. They're like little smaller versions, but anyway. I sincerely hope that they carry over the personality of, I believe he called himself Mr. Clever, the cyberplanner who was in the Doctor's mind. I hope they bring him back, because he was friggin' awesome. I really enjoyed him. He was very, like I said, he was just an evil version of the Doctor. And he was very taunting. He was very, oh, he's, I don't know how, but they should get Matt Smith to play the Master. That wouldn't make a lick of sense, but somehow they should. Excuse me. But, I don't know how, but they should, because that was a very good performance on Matt Smith's part. Matt Smith did so well with the dual role of it. And I think it was really the good point, the best part of it, part of that episode, was, again, the new Cybermen showing how much more powerful they are, and how much more threatening they are, because they are a lot more threatening. Just the fact that they move at a halfway decent pace makes them a bit more threatening. And by the way, there's one thing I want to point out about the new design. I mentioned this to a friend of mine, Lady K. I mentioned that they might have removed the stomping sound when they walk, because I thought they did. And she actually just went, "Oh, that's their signature. It's like the Daleks saying exterminate." And I disagree with that, but to that extent at least. But they kept it in. It's a bit faster and it's a bit different sounding, but they still have the stomping sound. But anyway, like I said, the best part of this episode really is the Cybermen and Mr. Clever. I don't know what else to call him. Because an evil version of the 11th Doctor that knows all about him. Like I said, I really hope they somehow bring that character back. When they, like I said, they showed the Cybermites of the head floating around in space, so obviously they're coming back. Which I'm very glad for, because I love the new design, and I love this new, like I said, just bring back Mr. Clever. Please bring him back. What else is there? Let's see, the kids. I think that the story was generally okay. I will admit the end of it was kind of Deus Ex Machina, which was basically the Doctor defeats the Cyberplanet Mr. Clever by essentially cheating. They were going back and forth with a chess match, and whoever won would get control. Now, obviously, Mr. Clever's just going to say screw it and take over if he loses anyway, because he's a freaking cheating bastard. Duh. But, what ended up happening was he basically just kind of used this little device, applied it to his face, and it just shorted out Mr. Clever. That was okay. Though I think it was a little anticlimactic for what an awesome character Mr. Clever is. But the real anticlimax is there's about quite a few Cybermen still coming at everybody. You know, Clara, these soldiers who were stationed there, and this little guy. I'm not sure what the term is for what the proper term is, but dwarfs, shorter people. I don't know if the term dwarf is offensive. I apologize. I'm not sure what the correct term is. But the actor who played, I believe his name is Porridge, which is an odd name one way or another, but did a fantastic job, by the way. And this character, he's just this little engineer. He turns out to be this emperor of this legion or army or whatever. I actually never quite got that. But basically, he just goes, "Yeah, I'm the emperor. I'm going to activate the bomb, and then I'm going to teleport us all up to our ship." And that's it. And I just thought that was really anticlimactic and kind of, like I said, Deus Ex Machina. Oh, he's the emperor. We're all safe. And they just leave. I thought that was pretty weak. And the effects were also pretty garbage. That's actually been one thing that's been bothering me this season, is some of the effects are pretty good. Others, not so much. Notably, a lot of people really disliked those little hands from Cold War that the Ice Warrior used when he was out of his shell. which I agree that actually did look really phony. I thought the 3D effects were okay in that episode, but the actual hands were silly. There's that. Then there was... I thought the effects in the first episode, ironically, Bells of St. John, when he was driving up the pyramid building, I thought that was okay. But there's this one shot of about just a couple million Cybermen approaching this castle, and it looks so stupid. And there's a couple other shots where like Cyberman's head spins around, and it looks really fake. So, the effects were kind of weak, and the end of the story was pretty weak. And that one female little girl who I want to punch. Those were kind of the weaker points of it. But I think all in all, because of this very strong villain, and the fact that the pacing and the story up until the end was really good, or was really well paced and just felt really good, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Yeah, like I said, it is a really good episode. Excuse me. How would I compare it to this season? It's one of the better ones, but it does have problems. I would say it's a little worse than Crimson... I was about to call it Crimson Thread again. In case you couldn't tell, I just face-palmed. Crimson Horror. I'll never get that name right unless I'm looking right at it. Sorry. I think it's a little worse than Crimson Horror, just in general, because it has a few more problems and they're a bit more distinct. I thought it was a pretty good episode, though. Like I said, it was a really good episode. I think for an introduction of the new Cybermen, it was really good. Now, here's where we get into the real stink of it. Because everybody was looking forward to this episode, but everybody's looking forward to the next one. Next episode is the season finale, which is going to reveal two things: the Doctor's name and who Clara is. Hence the episode name, The Name of the Doctor. I could never explain why I was so nervous about this episode, until I just remembered something a couple days ago, which is that Matt Smith's seasons 5, 6, and 7 have been some of the best seasons. Generally speaking, 7's been a little bit cluttered. I'd have to rewatch every episode just to kind of get a good idea. But I would say 7 so far has probably been the worst of Matt Smith's. Not that that's necessarily saying that much, but because 5 and 6 were really good. But how do I word this? The episodes, these seasons themselves were really good, but the finales were not fantastic. Big Bang 2 was good, but I don't know, there was just something about it I always felt was kind of off. Like, I never really liked the alliance that made the Pandorica. It's like the Daleks, the Cybermen, and all of these enemies. It just felt off to me that they would all get together for whatever reason, even to stop the Doctor, I guess. And if that worked the one time, kind of, why don't they do it again? I don't know. I never liked the alliance. I never liked that idea of them all just ganging together into this league of super evil or whatever, the League of Doom. But I don't know. Like I said, I just never liked that idea. And between that and the fact that I just think that River Song taking on a Dalek with a handgun, or like a phaser, whatever, and having it beg for mercy was kind of a cop-out in terms of me. Actually, come to think of it, that's another thing. All the finales seem to have punked out the Daleks really badly. There was that, and then there was the Doctor just casually wiping out a new paradigm ship, which was completely ridiculous, by the way. But anyway. How do I word this? Like I said, it was okay. It's just there were things about it I really didn't like. And as a finale, I just thought it wasn't strong enough. There were things about it I liked, but not enough. And then we have the Wedding of River's Song, which is easily the weakest finale since the Revived came back. I thought that should have been a two-parter easy, and I just thought that it was just so predictable how the Doctor survived and just everything. Like, nothing worked, in my opinion, in that one. There were some good things, granted, but I just thought it just didn't work that well. I think it was bad. Well, no, I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was weak with what I was expecting. Which is where we come to this season's finale. Oh boy. Like I said, this can go either incredibly well, or this can go incredibly badly. This can either be one of the best finales, or this could be one of the worst. Now, Trenzalore. This is going to be an extra long episode, by the way, because I have to kind of have my thoughts on this. So, it seems like the main villain of the next episode is going to be these Whispermen, which are these creatures with only the mouths. And that guy from the Christmas special, I don't know if it was the Great Intelligence or if it was just that one guy. What? Like, where the hell did that come from? The guy, not the Whispermen. I knew about them the whole time. But to be honest with you, I really didn't expect them to be there. What I expected was the Silence, right? You know, an entire group dedicated to making sure he doesn't say his name, aren't there. What? You don't think, like, I know it may have been in another dimension that she died, but shouldn't she be fine? Forgive me, I'm trying to remember her name. The eye patch lady from season 6. Her in the Silence. Shouldn't they still be, you know, around? Like, the Silence were portrayed as this huge enemy, foretold in season 5. They were the main villains of season 6, essentially. You know, introduced in the first episode, and a great two-parter in the first episode, and then, you know, the finale, which again I thought was weak, but that's beside the point. Like, are they just throwing them under the... Are we never going to see the Silence again? If so, boo! Because I love the Silence. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think they're creepy. I think they're cool. I want more stories with these guys, you know? And if they're just gone, then the fuck? There's another thought that that I actually just had, which was that the Whispermen are some kind of weird evolved form of the Silence, which I kind of call bull on, because I still think the Silence were made by the Master. Though if they're just going to throw them away, that really pisses me off if they did just throw them away, because the more I start thinking about it, I really hope they didn't do that. But like I said, next episode, for what it is, for what's going to be a one-episode thing, with River Song, and with Clara, and with the Doctor. And with Foster Strax and Jenny are coming back as well. For what it is, I know they were going for singular episodes, this one. No two-parters. But if anything was going to be a two-parter, don't you think it would have been this? I mean, really. I mean, last season, closing time into The Wedding of River Song was more of a two-parter than this. And I just think that it kind of kills the momentum. And that's another problem I have with the Wedding River song, is that they just didn't have as much momentum going into it. And I just got this... I got this bad feeling. This really, really bad feeling going into next week. I hope to God I'm wrong. But I have a very bad feeling. I hope to God I'm wrong, but I just... But I've seen the prequel, the She Said, He Said. We know that both of them get revealed. For certain now. And I'm just, like I said, I'm concerned. That's all I can say. Again, Stephen Moffat, very good hands to be in. You know, I'm a fan of Stephen Moffat. I'm a fan of the whole crew there. I think if anybody can do it, it's them. But this niggling feeling just won't stop. I'm very concerned for next week. I'm very excited for next week, but I'm very concerned. Here's hoping this all doesn't go down the crapper. Whew. Till next week, where I might start very angry. Thank you.